Welcome into Runner's Recap. We are joined once again with Rod Barnes for episode 8. We are making our way through this.
We are. Each one of them get better and better. So.
Yes, it's been a lot of fun so far, but of course, Coach, we got to catch right up with your trip down to LA against the USC Trojans. Once again, you were holding your own there, and then late in the game, the Trojans kind of got the best of you guys. So what do you take away from this matchup?
Well, we talked to our team about it. They're a really good offensive team, and they're a team of runs. And we told them that if we could contain where they didn't get those runs, that it would put us in a position to win the game. And I thought for 3/4 of the game, for 33 minutes, we contained their runs. They had a few, we had a few, kind of back and forth. And that's the way we thought the game would be played. The last run just was in their favor, and obviously that's why we lost the game. But I was proud of our guys. I thought going into that situation, and they're a very talented team, and they're a very confident team right now. We felt like, our kids fought really hard. For the most part, played the way we were expecting them to play. But again, just allowed their run to happen at a bad time. But we've got to also give them credit. They have a really good team, and they're really talented. And they had some guys down the stretch that really stepped up for them and made some threes, and that was kind of the separation in the game. And
usually, and I don't want to bring this up too much, but a little deja vu, I guess, for TCU. And I was going to say, as a coach, usually there is something you can kind of pinpoint when you can get those leads on these big teams, these big-time teams, and then kind of let them slip away. So what are you trying to pinpoint here during these next few stretches of games to try to get them to be consistent throughout the whole game?
Well, that's part of the season. It kind of goes, whether you're looking at a team. I watched Duke the other day. They were kind of up and down. Whether it's the #1 team in the country or the 300 team in the country right now, no one's playing where they're actually putting 40 minutes together. I think some of ours is we're playing with a lot of new guys, and when you do that against that stiff of a competition, you really have to know each other. You need to have to know the game plan, and you really have to know as far as the time being out there together. It's different when it becomes winning time, and we're still trying to figure out as a staff, but also the players, who are the guys when that last 4 minutes, who should be on the floor, who we're making the calls for, where's the ball going. And that's just going to take some time, whether that's a point guard, Ricky, being his first time being our full-time point guard, or whether that's being someone to step up to be our go-to guy. And that just develops with time. But I think our team is learning when the competition hasn't been at the level of being a Power 5 conference. We came back in both games and we won them. So I just think just learning that. It's a different kind of game. This game, our TCU game, was a defensive more game. This game here was more offensively. And we just didn't close it, with the right kind of plays. We made some good calls. We had some guys took some good shots, but they didn't go down. Now, I'm hoping that's not a case of being and playing that stiffer competition and it becomes something that we carry on as we go forward. Hopefully it's something we learn from. And I think our guys really gained some confidence from, 2 Power 5 conferences, playing them down to the last 4 or 5 minutes, but we've got to get where we can close those game out.
And I'm sure most people are kind of eyeballing Gonzaga. You got them, and right now they're the #1 team in the country. If they hold on to that spot, you got a few weeks before you get there. But, of course, I want to know, what's the most difficult thing when you're facing that competition, but then you're going into practice and you're trying to, I don't know how do you replicate kind of the situations that maybe held you guys back, or how are you able to do that when these competition, it's just so different? Like TCU looks different than USC.
Yeah, normally you try to go through and really go through with you guys. You watch the film and you go back and you show them, hey, listen, this has happened, this should have happened. Maybe they learn from it. Sometimes if it becomes kind of a trend of the same kind, you start simulating that more in practice, where you may be down 5 points with 3 minutes to go, or you may be up 5 points with 3 minutes to go, and you try to play and talk them and coach them through it in live action. And that's what I said about this situation. It was a little bit similar. I mean, they were not similar situation. Because at TCU, it was more of a grinded out, really physical, tough, you know, each possession kind of count. But then when we played USC, it was a 7-0 run, 6-2 run, 4-2 run. I mean, it was those kind of plays and that kind of trends and runs in the game. And we go back and we just go back through it. And, you know, afterwards, our guys knew because we talked about their team has been a team of runs. And, we get to 30 minutes in the game and we were like, hey, listen, guys, we make the next 5 minutes, we okay. You know, we get to 35-minute mark and we still, I think, was down 7 with 5 minutes to go. And you're thinking, okay, hey, guys, if we need to make a run right here, let's make a push right here. And we kind of kept it steady there, and then all of a sudden they hit 2 threes back-to-back, which went from a 7-point lead to a 13-point lead, which really the game was over then. But, you know, I like our team and what they're learning, they're developing. Again, you know, we still have some room to grow as far as just maturing together, chemistry out there on the court. And, you know, we have to learn in those situations. And, again, when you've got a new point guard, I had Brent Routt with me for 4 years, so he would at least know what I wanted. Struggle a little bit the first year doing the same thing Ricky is doing now at times of who to get the ball to, when to get it to him. But, you know, I can't complain because, you know, I'm proud of our kids because they're giving us everything they can possibly give us on a daily basis. So hopefully we learn from it, which we have done in past games, and hopefully we'll learn from this one. So the next time we're playing an offensive team, we'll realize and understand how to close it out against them.
Yeah, and of course you mentioned there were some bright spots in that game. Yeah. You mentioned the runs, and USC being such a hot offensive team, especially off the start, you guys were able to put some good minutes in there. Right. So, and then 1, 2 of the bright spots was Damian Durham putting up 22 points, leading the way there offensively. Yeah. But what has been so far your favorite stat line from, and maybe not so much these 2 competitive games that you've had, but just in general, what's been the favorite stat line that you've seen from your guys that you're like, okay, we got that covered?
I've really liked our rebounding. For being such a short team as far as size go, I've liked that we've consistently been able to rebound, whether it was a Power 5 conference team or someone that would be at another league. Our guys have really rebounded the ball well. Can we get better? Sure. But that was a big concern of mine that we may get killed on the boards. And even the other night against USC, I went into the game saying, man, they're taller than us in every position. Like, this could be a long night on the boards. And I thought our guys have fought and blocked out and pursued the basketball well, even though I think that's an area we can improve. But it's the one that I feel good about.
And that brings me to my next point. I was going to ask you about managing against their size out there on the court. How did you feel? You just kind of mentioned it there, but how did you feel that they did? And then what maybe did they learn from playing against a team that just is that dominating in size?
Well, when you start thinking about it, and I told our coaches this, their guy that our center, if you want to call him a center, our biggest guy was guarding. The guy made 2 15-foot to 18-foot jump shots, and then he made 2 threes down the stretch. We've learned, we need to learn that just because they're big guys, that don't mean they can't shoot. And what has happened, we played other teams just because their big guys were inside guys or post-up guys or maybe even make 15-foot jump shots. I mean, we had a couple of crucial plays that their 6'10" guy just drove it down the floor and shot the 3. And we're not used to that, and we've got to learn from that. And we told our players that, you know, hey, their big guys can shoot, but until it actually happens, they start realizing, did he really shoot that? And a couple of times our guys looked over to the bench like, did you see that? I'm like,
what we gotta do?
Yeah. I saw that on the film the other night when I was up all night, so that's why I told you. But I think we learned from that, and I think we see that more. And I think you mentioned Gonzaga being the #1 team in the country. They have 2 big guys that can really shoot the ball. So hopefully we'll make that adjustment in a game like that. But I think that was the biggest surprise for our guys, and the biggest thing that they can learn from is that, you know, when we play guys at that level, I mean, they had guys that were 6'8" that were dribbling like guards at times. So it's just you know, there's no difference. The three-pointer's a three-pointer. You have to guard it the same way. But I think it just caught our guys off guard, how skilled their big guys really were, and that's kind of different from what we've seen this season.
And Coach, that's kind of the way the game of basketball is changing, right? There's not the bigs that you see in the paint, that typical style isn't really there. These big guys are learning how to dribble, learning how to shoot. It's kind of funny, but that's true though. That's kind of something that I've seen kind of, I don't know, in the last few seasons, something that's kind of changed across basketball.
Yeah, that's across basketball. Even if you look in the NBA, there's not guys like Kareem or Shaq or Olajuwon anymore. All the guys are 7 foot. Kevin Durant plays pretty much like a small forward or a 2 guard now. And that's the way people play, you know, and that's where basketball is going and headed. Because it's such a sport that we're taking so much of the physical play out of it. And guys are starting, everybody has a dream and goal of going to the NBA. So when you start looking at kids, if they're bigger as the ones in their class, their dads and their coaches are telling them, you got to be able to dribble, you got to be able to pass, you got to be able to shoot. We're used to is basically, hey, son, just get the ball inside and try to score on people. The game has changed. And again, our guys were aware of it, but then until you've played against it, you know, if their guys had been 6'5", 6'6", our guys would have been more, you know, had to play with more sense of urgency when they were out there. But they're like, hey, this guy ain't going nowhere. He's going to pass the ball, and then all of a sudden it's 3. And again, until that happens, you know, you just you learn from it.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
Still learning lessons always throughout the season, of course.
Yeah.
Well, looking ahead, Coach, you had a little bit of time here between your next game against South Dakota. When you look at South Dakota, what do you see out there on the court that might be a challenge or something that you're kind of keying in on?
Well, they're really good. I think their point guard is really smart. He really runs the team. He does a great job. They're well coached. Coach Lee is the first year there, but he was the guy that was kind of behind Grand Canyon's scheme, so we're really familiar with that. And then their best player, I mean, I think last night against Baylor, the night before last, he went for like 17 points and 14 rebounds. So we've got our work cut out for it. It's a tough place to play. They have a lot of success there. It's you know, the travel there is going to be a long trip for us to get there. From what I'm understanding, hearing that the weather is not going to be that great. So it's definitely one of those travel games that you really got to be locked in and focused, not allowing whether it's snow on the ground or not a lot of people being at the game or a different kind of style of play. And that's why I tell our guys all the time, we've got to prepare for whatever.
Yeah, good thing basketball's played inside, right?
Yes, that's great.
And speaking of South Dakota, they were also in the Bahamas, a different tournament though. But their last few games kind of look similar to your guys', where they've all been kind of close games. So is that something you're kind of looking at too, and hoping that you can maybe take the edge this time on a team like that?
Well, it is. I mean, we would hope to get better at what we do, and I think if we can close that gap, I keep telling our guys we were playing 20 good minutes in the beginning, and when we played against Long Beach, and I think we've improved every game out. It's been a little bit more consistent, playing a little bit better for a longer period, longer stretches. And we're going to have to do that. I mean, this is their home game, and it's a game both teams have been playing close games, and I would hope that we go over there, and I'm not just overly enjoying close games or finish it like that, but again, when you're on the road, you want to give yourself a chance to win. And hopefully, when you get home, because of the fans, because of you're familiar with the home court, you hope to get a bigger lead at the end of games and hopefully win with a comfortable lead. But when you're on the road, road wins are so hard to come by. You just want to give yourself a chance, and hopefully we can do that come Saturday.
Absolutely. And something I kind of looked at is last year it looked like your road games were not so much on the weekend. This year it looks like they were kind of purposely placed.
Yeah.
Is that something that you were looking to do? Does it make it a little easier to take road trips on the weekends?
Yeah, I did, because I started to, I figured that, for us to leave on Friday and maybe get back on Sunday is a little bit different than leaving on Tuesday, coming back on Thursday, and also trying to take under consideration the missed classes that we were going to have for the Bahama trip. I was like, we're going to be gone for a week, so we need to get weekend games. So if we miss a class, it will only be Friday's class. And it's worked out, and hopefully it pays off for us. I know the Bahama trip did, and hopefully the next 2 Saturdays that we play, we can win 2 games.
Absolutely, and then get back home.
Get back home.
All right, Coach, so now we're going to do the breakdown with Barnes. We put you back in the hot seat.
I keep wondering, is this hot seat going to run out? Yeah.
It's not that hot, but we're warming you up before your cold trip to South Dakota.
Okay.
You got to think of it like that.
Yes, all right.
And speaking of heat, what kind of game do you prefer, or what do you think is more crucial to a win, that hot start or the controlled end?
Oh wow, that's a control end.
Yeah.
The hot start is great, but it's just so far to go, and the game has changed so much with the shot clock and 3-point. The control of finish in the end is better for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. You've been on the road here for some trips, so what all-time favorite on the road moment with the team, if you have one? Could be your current team, could be a previous team. But that favorite trip.
Oh wow, that's this team or just any team in my
whatever,
career?
yeah, it could be
probably,
this team.
Probably back in, I think it was 1996 that we won at Rupp Arena against Kentucky, and the University of Mississippi hadn't won there in like 53 years.
Wow.
So that was a huge win. Probably the most exciting one that I probably enjoyed and engaged and got a part as a coach being in the celebration is when we went to the NIT and we won to go to New York. I mean, our kids were pumped up and excited, and their coach got excited also. So it was just we knew we were going to have a few days before we play again. And I mean, just to accomplish that after having lost in the finals to New Mexico State, you know, in the WAC tournament. It was just so rewarding for that group of guys to get an opportunity to go to New York. The first 8 seed in the history of basketball to go to New York and play in the Final Four at NIT. We celebrated, and I really enjoyed that. So probably me participating with the fun and the celebration, that would probably be Texas Arlington to go to the NIT finals.
Awesome. I knew you'd have some cool moments as a coach. I'm sure you have plenty
more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this year you did your tournament on the road at the Bahamas, year before Alaska. So if you had to pick between the two, where are you going, Bahamas or Alaska?
That's easy. Bahamas. There's no question about that. Alaska was a good trip. Our players learned a lot. Coaches, it was a great experience, but it was cold. And we know warm weather for people that live in California. We favor that. So the Bahamas, the weather was unbelievable. So yes, the Bahamas, that wouldn't even be close.
I'm with you on that one too. They probably learned how to dress warmer, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And I know, so Damian has put up, some beautiful threes, and you've had some good 3-point shooters across, your history as a coach.
Yeah.
But what's the key to really having the perfect 3-point stroke?
Well, I think you have to, it's funny because I've had different guys that kind of take different form. I think just doing the same thing over and over, repetition. Yeah. Guys having the form that they have and then shooting it like that every time. When guys struggle with shooting, most of the time it's because that they don't have, whether it's correct form, incorrect form, they don't do the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, as you said, that like Rick Barry used to shoot underhanded threes. And if you go to most coaching clinics, they tell you about getting your elbow in and following through with your shots, having your finger down. They give you all these things. But then Rick Barry he just kind of hooped it
granny
up there.
shot.
Yeah, granny shot. So I just think you got to do the same thing over and over. You got to have the same mechanics every time. And then you got to believe in it. It takes a certain kind of mentality to really be a consistent, really good 3-point shooter. And we're constantly trying to get our guys to improve on that.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out Steph Curry.
Yes.
That guy can shoot from anywhere. I can't get it.
Yeah, he can. But also, people probably don't think about, first of all, I think he has good vision. People don't think about the vision. Guys that have shoot it well from long distance have good range as far as their vision on the ball and vision of the shot. And some people don't think that factors into it, but it does a lot. but also he has good form. Even in the end when he's shooting crazy shots sometimes. If you look at his follow through, his finish,
always the same.
It's always the same. Yeah.
Very
so
true.
that's what makes him good.
All right. Well, now I have to show you
That's really good.
Okay. Woo. We got it. We got that on camera, right? But let's see if I would make it. We'll try that out on the court one day.
Yeah, sure.
And the last one here, Coach, if you get some time to look at the NBA, a big talking point has been Jimmy Butler, and he's been added to the Philadelphia Sixers. Yeah. Do you feel that that was a good move for both the Sixers and Butler?
I do, because I think the situation that had happened with Butler in Toronto, I just think that situation really had gotten where it was toxic in a sense. And they have a young team. They're moving forward in what they're doing. You got the Sixers that are a little bit more established. I think they have a chance with Jimmy Butler if they can get the chemistry right, that they can play in the finals maybe in the overall finals, but definitely in their division, they could be in the finals. So I think it was good. It's just tough when your best player is not really getting along with the entire organization. That's really big in the NBA. And he wasn't obviously pleased with whether it was the players or the coaches or the organization. And I think it was best that they traded him, you know. So I think both teams will benefit for it in the long run, and hopefully Jimmy, you know, fits in well and it goes well for him. But it's just difficult to coach your best player, and he's not pleased with what the organization or teammates are doing around him.
Yeah, and the Sixers, they keep trusting the process.
Well, that process is, it's a process. So
it's a process for
I
all of us.
think right now they've tried to make some moves and moving Jimmy there. I think they're trying to get closer to being that team, and you know, I think they made some good moves. You know, who knows whether this process, as long as it's taken, was as beneficial if they had done some other things, but it definitely keeps us looking and keep us interested in Philly. So maybe that's the whole idea, the whole deal, to keep us looking at them.
I know, people love the NBA.
Yes.
Sometimes a lot of controversy. But it's a fun league. But we'll trust this process, keep our focus on CSUB. But thanks again, Coach, for joining us. And we're glad that you made it out of that LA traffic there this past weekend.
We did. It was a long trip back, though.
Yeah, well, now you got to go to South Dakota. But all right, well, this has been the Runners Recap, and we will see you all next week.